This video has been funded in part by the Guild via Patreon. Check out the links in the description or at the end of this video for more details. Hello everyone, my name is Gildart, and welcome back to another Pros vs. Cons mini review. I have been a fan of JRPGs for a very long time. I like the plain and simple, but I also like the ones that step out of what's generally expected of them. When you get a game that fits just right into both categories, you know you've got a winner on your hands. A game that touches on all the tropes of a usual JRPG, but also thinks outside of the box and gives the player something new. Whether it's Legend of Dragoon's addition system, Atelier's alchemy, or Opuna's use of the Wii nunchuck to do attacks. The key to a great JRPG is to snuggle yourself into what's already been established, but do so in a creative way. The reason I bring all of this up is because today we're taking a look at Edge of Eternity, which was originally released on the PC in June of 2021 and finally made its way to PlayStation and Xbox consoles on February 10th, 2022. Specifically, I'll be playing the Xbox One version because of my One X, and if you want to play this on Xbox as well, whether on the One or on the Series, you can right now thanks to its addition to Game Pass. I do want to say this isn't sponsored, but Xbox, if you want to back me up on this, just let me know. I really appreciate Plan of Attack reaching out about the game because it was on my radar, but I just had other projects in the works. Funny story, they actually reached out to me with a PlayStation 5 code, but I had to do the reply of shame and let them know that I hadn't yet purchased any of the next-gen consoles. They were kind enough to pass along an Xbox One code, so I can bring you all this video. And now the real question, does Edge of Eternity do enough to break the mold of the usual JRPG formula while blending into its contemporaries? Well, before we get into all of that, don't forget to give this video a like, comment with your thoughts below, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, let's see what Edge of Eternity has to offer. Ready, set, pros. Let's start this review off right and talk about the graphics. This game looks incredible when you consider the size of the team working on it. I looked up Midgar Studios' website and found out that they are a team of 8. That is insane. There were more people working on this game. I looked it up and found 33 people credited to this game, with 19 of those people being voice actors. For such a small team, they must be some incredibly talented people to put such a beautiful game together. And they've only ever released one other game called Hover: Revolt of Gamers. With all that considered, Edge of Eternity is a visual masterpiece. Lush environments and great character designs fill this game to the brim. I can't wait to play more just to see what the next area is going to look like. Some of the things you may be able to see from the visuals is that Edge of Eternity wears its inspiration on its sleeve. You have a Final Fantasy-like world where technology exists within a medieval setting. Gathering resources and crafting feels very reminiscent of Atelier, though the crafting mechanic itself is a little bit more simple. Chrono Trigger's combat system bleeds into this one, where you have to worry about your ATB, and your character's placement is very important. The overworld environments feel very much like Xenoblade. Hell, they even have their own version of a chocobo, and they're called Nekarus, and they're these giant cats, and I want 1,000 of them. Please! While looking great and utilizing its inspiration well, it also plays extremely solid. Edge of Eternity is a turn-based JRPG. This is where the Chrono Trigger inspiration really comes into play, as you have an ATB system that fills up based on your character's speed. Once it's filled up, you are greeted with this incredibly slick UI to navigate your various options. Using different button prompts based on what you want to do really helps this game from feeling like a mash A to win. Combat also takes place on a grid, which adds an extra layer of strategy to the JRPG mix. You see, certain spells you can aim at specific targets, while others affect everyone within specific tiles on the grid. Spells also start a secondary ATB that changes from white to red, so you know which characters and enemies are casting a spell. If they're aiming at one target, you'll see a line that connects the two. If they're targeting a tile, you'll see the borders of that tile light up. As long as there's no lock icon on that character or enemy's red ATB, their spell can be interrupted if attacked enough. If the target is a specific tile, the characters in that tile can move out of it if the spell can't be interrupted before it's cast. This simple yet involved combat system proves to be one of the most immersive immersive ones I've experienced in a turn-based game. Then there's the music. Like always, I have the music playing in the background of this video, but if I told you that this was Final Fantasy music, you'd probably believe me. Cedric Menendez did a great job on the score for this game and really brings every moment to life. The battle and main theme are especially great tunes and are a perfect mix of Final Fantasy, Dragon Quest, and many more JRPGs. I'm gonna be honest, I may just have to add this soundtrack to my playlist. Finally, we move on to probably the most important part of a JRPG, the story. We follow Darien, a soldier in this world's army. Where he is stationed gets attacked by the Archelites, an alien race that bestowed the humans with the gift of technology, and after seeing the misuse of it, decides to wipe them out. In order to kill them off, not only are they attacking them, but they release a virus called the Corrosion. Right before his station was attacked, Darien received a letter from his sister saying that his mother was infected, but she believes to have found a cure. After fighting off the Archelites, Darien leaves the army to join his sister on a journey to find the cure. They travel the land while completing various side quests to build a world around them, and for a little bit of comic relief. If there's one thing I can say about this game, it's that it really makes me want to keep playing it. And I know that I said that the story would be the final point, but I do need to say that this game not only has a Japanese dub, but it also gets an English dub too. This has been something that I've been complaining about religiously when it comes to JRPGs, so it's so good to finally hear my native language in this game. It's enough to make a man cry. Cons! Now, I know I praised the visuals for this game, and they do look great for such a small team. They really must have some talented people in their ranks. But there's still some kinks that have to be worked out, at least with the Xbox One release. First off, it does not feel like it is optimized to run on this console. I had many moments of frame drops, lag, or even glitches. There was one point where I was stuck in a tutorial moment, and when that happens, a barrier appears around you, so you have to address the tutorial right away. This isn't usually a problem because the thing that the game is trying to tell you about is necessary to the story's progression, or it's literally right there, so you might as well just do it. For me, it was when it was trying to show me how to craft weapons. I got stuck in an area between the work desk and the barrier. It said to hit A, which I thought would just open the menu, but my character tried to walk around the work desk. Since I wasn't in front of it, my character just continued to walk against the barrier, trying to walk around the desk, but couldn't. This meant I was permanently stuck here, so I tried to pause and go back to the main menu to restart, but you can't pause while you're moving. So my only choice was to actually quit the game from the Xbox menu. The glitches aren't super common, but when they happen, they really pull you out of the experience. The main issue that I have with its performance is the frame drops and overall visuals. Like when the game chooses to drop frames, it's not always in an area that should be overly taxing. I understand when you're running between areas in the open world that it might lag a bit when it tries to load the next area, but this will happen while you're just running around in one place sometimes. Combat also experiences some lag. Usually I find it's when the combat UI opens for the first move. Then there's the issue with the overall visuals. Even though it could have taken advantage of it, there are no enhancements to this game when played on Xbox One X. Since the game came out on PC, I would have expected the Xbox One to maybe have the normal graphics setting, while the Xbox One X would have maybe had the high graphics settings. I bought the PC version just to compare, and I was so correct in the Xbox One having the mid-range settings. But there's not only a high setting, there is an ultra high setting for PC, which is likely what you'll get if you play this on PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series consoles. It's so disappointing that those playing on the more powerful version of last gen's consoles aren't getting any benefit. Like, look at how beautiful this looks on PC. It did look good on Xbox One, but my god, the frame rate is immaculate. Going back to a complaint about the open world, you may find these open areas are quite large. You usually run at a steady pace, but you do have the option to sprint. As you find enemies around the open world, you can also get an advantage on the battle by attacking them first to start the encounter. These have become normal JRPG tropes, but the issue that I have is that the buttons these actions are mapped to are literally the opposite of where you'd want them to be. To sprint, you have to hold A. This keeps your right thumb from being able to use the right stick for the camera unless you choose to claw your controller. To attack in the open world, you hit the right bumper. Do you know how many times I just intuitively mixed these up? In almost every other JRPG, these would be swapped. The biggest issue about all of this is that there is no mapping options. The only option that involves these two actions is whether you want sprint to be a hold or a press to toggle. And then the issue with that is that when you are gathering resources, you have to hit A again, which cancels your sprinting. You can also click the left stick to toggle sprint, but A still stops you. It's so annoying. I also mentioned earlier that Edge of Eternity has an English dub. This is great because I love being able to turn off subtitles and enjoy the cutscene as if it were a movie. The only issue is that sometimes the voice acting doesn't hit the way that it should based on the atmosphere of the scene.
Hey, you're the one who said we have to find shelter.
Yeah, but not in there.
Got another idea?
Yeah, dying in the snow.
Ha ha!
What?
I said, ha ha!
It's not super often though, so the English dub will be fine for a playthrough of the game. I find it's more often than not a side character who doesn't get too many lines in the game. I imagine the director knew this and didn't want to spend too much time on a character with a couple of throwaway lines just for the sake of everyone having the same level. I also played a little bit with the Japanese dub, which actually wasn't in the original PC release. The Japanese acting, from what I can tell as a non-Japanese speaker, is a little bit better than the English dub, but the lip flaps of the characters are paired with the English script, so it might look a little weird to see. Lastly, I want to mention a couple of things that didn't really hurt the overall experience of the game, but that I wish were done in a different way. The first is something that may seem insignificant to many, but the loading and title screen show Darian and Celine in an anime-style art. This looks great, but when you're in a conversation, these more realistic character portraits are used. I just wish for consistency they chose to go with one style over the other. They both look great, but I would have leaned more towards the realistic portraits so that it matches the in-game models. Then there's something that this game does that I don't really know my stance on. The first Blue Reflection did this, and I was somewhat okay with it there, but after every battle, your HP and MP are restored. This means that damage and MP usage is higher during combat. You can still struggle to fight stronger enemies with this system, but it doesn't really create an overall sense of urgency. Like, if your character is getting low on health, you don't know where the closest inn is, you have no more healing items, and you're running low on MP to use healing magic, this can lead to that urgency that I was talking about. You want to manage your MP and item usage, but here you just use the MP moves right away unless the enemy you're fighting is strong against the only elements that you have at your disposal. Carrying over your HP and MP just leads to a more immersive feel. In the end, Edge of Eternity was quite an experience. I had seen the announcement that this was coming out, but originally I didn't know that it had already come out on PC. That being said, my review won't be based off of the PC version. I'm going to go completely off of the Xbox One version that I played initially, and I'll kind of dive in further as to the why as well. But given all that's been said between the pros and the cons, I give Edge of Eternity on Xbox One a thumbs up. Sure, there are some issues in performance, but it was never bad enough to stop me from playing. In fact, when I had the glitch that caused me to have to close out of the game, I found myself instantly relaunching the game without a second thought. The game's music, world, and story are so immersive that even when you get taken out of the game by something as small as a poorly delivered line from one character, or as big as a game-crashing glitch, you instinctively jump right back in. The way that the story starts off can feel a little cliched at first, but thanks to the writing and characters, you will want to see where this ends. The combat system is super intuitive while being a good mix of the same old song and dance with a bit of a fresh flair. I love that even when grinding, it's not just a press A to win game. The music, as well, is a big part of the immersion thanks to its masterful score. Edge of Eternity also being available on Game Pass day one is even more reason that Xbox players should give it a try. That being said, I will break off and say that my experience on Xbox One was a little lower in quality than on PC. Even though I would love to complete this game 100% and get all of the achievements, I think that I'm gonna finish this game on PC. If you're playing this on Series X or PS5, I have seen those consoles get better performance and visuals. It's just a bit unfortunate that One X players won't see any enhancements. If you have the choice though, I would recommend picking this up on PC, but if you don't have a choice, you won't be disappointed in playing Edge of Eternity on any console. Anyways, everybody, thank you so much for watching my mini review of Edge of Eternity. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like and subscribe for more. Also, let me know your thoughts on the game in the comments below. And if you'd like to help support this channel and what I do here, you can join the guild, just like these awesome people that you're seeing on screen right now. You can join them at the end of every single video for just $1 a month. There's other rewards and other tiers as well, so check out the links that you see on screen, and I will see you all down in the comments.